Hi, my name's Nicole. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a homeschool mom with 2 kids at home. I have a daughter who's in 5th grade and my son is almost 4 and I'm not formally homeschooling him. Today I want to talk to you about the math journey that I went on last year with my daughter, the different curriculums I used, and why we ended up on the curriculum that we ended up on. So last year we homeschooled my daughter the entire year minus 2 weeks. She went to school for 2 weeks and then she came home. So when we first started, and obviously never homeschooled before, we used a lot of Spectrum products, which actually ended up being really good for beginning homeschoolers. And I'm actually going to do a video about all the language arts Spectrum products that I used last year. But for this video, I'm going to talk about math. We started with Spectrum Math. And we got about halfway through it. I'm not gonna lie, I really liked this curriculum. It didn't go as deep, and this is very straightforward. There's no conceptual math here. But we just got to a point where my daughter didn't want me to teach her. They were simple concepts that I was capable of teaching her, but she just really struggled to learn from me. So I would go on YouTube, I would look for someone teaching the same concept that we were learning, and that worked until it didn't. So we're about to get into long division. I was like, I have to figure something out because this is not working. So after a lot of research, I ended up with Math Mammoth. And I started her on 4B, and we got a little more than a third of the way through, close to halfway through, and she just started to hate this. Here's an example of a page where it will have a little bit of instruction and then problems. It'll give you a little more instructions and problems. There's no teacher guide. This curriculum is essentially the student or the teacher teaching themselves. This worked for her in the very beginning, but then it stopped. And I realized the only reason that had been working before was because we were reviewing concepts that she already knew. Once it was new and she didn't know it, she just couldn't handle it. I could barely get her to do 6 or 7 problems. It was such a struggle. And I was like, how am I ever going to get my kid to like to do math? And I don't like blaming the curriculum, but I just could not make this work. I made a valiant effort. We stayed almost halfway through and it just didn't work. So I did so much research. And honestly, I was so afraid of what's considered Common Core math, which I now know Common Core is a list of guidelines that they're enforcing in all the states, so that if a 4th grader in Iowa goes to a 4th grade class in Washington, they're teaching and learning the same things. It's the conceptual math that I was afraid of. I was like, how can I teach her something if I don't even know? So then I went back to the drawing table and I was like, I'm going to stop being afraid of conceptual math because that blocks me from so much, because the only other math option I saw was Saxon. And I knew that even doing with Nicole, the math lady, my daughter, it would be too much for her, just too many problems. So I looked at Matthew C. and Singapore math, and I finally landed on Singapore math. I landed on Primary Mathematics, the Standard Edition. And the reason I did is because I heard there was a video program called Wisdom Wonder Project that taught and used this particular Standard Edition. And I went online, had me and my daughter look at a couple of videos, and lo and behold, Emma loved the teachers, absolutely loved their energy, loved the way they taught, and I was like, score. I have a curriculum that has videos. My daughter likes them. Let's try this. And guys, this has been a godsend. I actually started her on 4A last year. It was a little bit of review, but they teach things differently. There was a lot of concept and conceptual math that she hadn't really learned. I felt like it couldn't hurt her. And I'd heard this curriculum is at least 1 to 2 semesters behind. So I felt really good about that. So we finished up 4A this summer and we moved on to 4B. So she is a 5th grader, but she'll finish 4B and 5A this year. And I'm totally okay with that. So how you would teach a lesson in this curriculum is you have the teacher's guide. It's actually, I believe, called a home instructor's guide. And then you have a textbook that you use to teach them out of. What's really cool about Standard Edition is that the textbook pages are color, which is super fun. And then you have the workbook. What's really great about Wisdom Wonder Project is that they will teach most of what the teacher guide is telling you to teach, as well as using a lot of what's in the textbook that you're supposed to teach that day. So when you're done with the video, there's very little to go through here in the textbook, and then you just work with your kid to go through the workbook problems. So I would say the videos range between 10 minutes to 20 minutes, usually not that long, like usually 12 to 15 is the average. And then it will take us another 15 minutes to go through the workbook. So I would say we spend about 30 minutes a day on this, which to me is just perfect. There's just enough amount of questions. The textbook, really, you only need to go through the extra stuff that Wisdom Wonder Project doesn't include when your kid needs more review. If your child understands it, you can go directly to the workbook. They also have books for extra practice for each level. Now within Singapore, you have Dimensions, which is different than this curriculum. You also will have the US edition and Common Core edition. And there's another one, I believe it's Singapore 2022. So people will have preferences. Some people are diehard US edition. Common Core, I don't think is as popular as standard editions. I specifically chose it. Standard edition that Wisdom Wonder Project uses. It makes it seamless and easy. So this was a great choice for us. And something I really learned is to not be afraid to learn new things. I sat there with her in those videos and I learned the way that they were teaching the kids. And I learned a lot, I'm not gonna lie, and I'm pretty good at math. So, and I felt that her math game got so much better by learning it conceptually. And I was like, why was I so afraid of something that I didn't understand? And how sad would it have been if I held her back because I was afraid? So I'm really proud of myself for stepping outside the box and doing, and it's been a great choice. So thank you so much for watching my video and being here. I'd love to talk to you in the comments. What math curriculum are you using? What have you tried to use? I love this topic. I've researched the heck out of it, so I would love to talk to you about it. Anyways, thanks so much for watching my video. I'll see you in the next one.